And then Brian, let me interrupt you. What the website again is called what?
It's KENTENN, like Ken 10. It's ken10weather.net. It's the easiest way I know. Because what it's going to do is going to take you to the Facebook page. It's going to show you the stream in this video.
Okay, I'm here now. And
I'm going
to
recycle it too here in just a second, so we can pull this back up. It's quite interesting because they were panning the camera around to see where this storm is. It's not really raining right there in that area. Let's see if we can get it back full screen here. Okay, so yeah, you see the sunshine here. And we start to see the rain moving across Highway 45, 4-lane here, 3-way.
Is that you moving it around live on the that I'm looking at right now?
I'm not moving it, but I am showing it to you. I guess I'm kind of a third party pulling it up here.
Okay.
Let's see, now they're going to pan it back to the southwest here. It's just interesting to see this because there aren't that many tower cams around that would be in the path of a storm, and this one just happens to be right here. As we pull this up, and of course we're looking at the Atlas Turner Bridge right here, looking southwest.
Okay, and Brian, that camera is located at 3-way, and
right.
that would be looking west, looking to the western sky, correct?
It's more southwest at this point right here.
I see.
So as they're panning across here, so that would be now they've got it a little bit in a westerly fashion here. It looks like the big warehouse with all the trailer boxes out there, the semi trailers out there backed up. I'm not sure what that is. It used to be I thought it was a cardboard factory at one time, but it's some other kind of processing or something now. Or maybe it was a warehouse for Save-A-Lot. Doesn't that sound right?
That's right, Brian. That is correct. Yes.
No.
Yeah.
And it looks like they're swinging it around. I mean, you can see some. If you look off to the right back there, you see the low-hanging clouds above this area that we're talking about here. And now they have it looking almost northwest, back towards Crockett County, I guess. But anyway, it's interesting. There's nothing really of note right here, but these things tend to be kind of scattered about, and we just happen to stumble upon this and bring the EOC's 3-way camera up on the thing as we were doing the radar tracking this out.
Let me ask you this, because I'm easily distracted, as you know. That the profile picture there, where's that made? That's a beautiful look right there. Is that West Tennessee?
Yes, actually it was. It was on some summer night a couple of years ago.
The big photo there at the top of Ken10 Weather.
It's
during the day.
Oh, during the day.
Yeah, it's there's some sun and clouds, and there's two peaks in the background. And now that could be around the Dyersburg area, though, because that's a gorgeous photo. But I feel like that's so beautiful. Looks like East Tennessee. But again, easily distracted with things that don't matter right now because we get weather watches and warnings popping all around it.
I'll tell you what that was. That was last July. It was July of 2022. That was on the high hill in Branson. I took that.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Yes. Yeah, that's gorgeous, right? Oh, that's when you went to see Mike Walker.
That's right. Mike Walker is my favorite entertainer now. So.
He's fantastic. Hey, okay, Brian, let's get to Brian Thomas is our weatherman. He's on the scene here, and when I don't distract him, he's watching this thing that's now from the text alert I got. Brian from the Mayoral Police Department. It says alert tornado warning remains in effect for South Central Gibson County until 7 p.m. So we're 2 minutes away from that expiring. It says the severity, extreme, extraordinary threat to life or property. The urgency is immediate. Responsive action should be taken immediately and observed and determined to have occurred to be going on. Is so well. Evidently, what they're saying is there's been rotation spotted. Are there any confirmations of a touchdown in West Tennessee that you know of yet, Brian?
Yes, as a matter of fact, when it crossed out of East Arkansas, crossed across the river at Wynne, Arkansas, there, just north of, that would be just north of, Millington there. They did say large and extremely dangerous tornado as it crossed Tipton County and the southern tip of Lauderdale County as it passed through Haywood County and Nutbush. And then about the time that it got into southern Crockett County is when it lost a little speed. Now, we were talking before we got on the, I think before you came in here at WBFG Parker's Crossroads Jackson, that
right on time, yeah.
Right on time, yeah. That this thing may be cycling, and what you mean cycling is that these storms, they do lose some energy, but they come about more energy in the atmosphere. Like for instance, it's 75 in Jackson with a 62 dew point. So you have another richer atmosphere here. And I do want to go ahead and note this, that if you're between Medina and Oakfield and really the three-county area here in Carroll County is just right here in the back door here. I'm telling you that that is where the rotation is right now. We are seeing a tornado signature on the radar in the neighborhood of Medina. Technically, it is to the west of Medina, but we're going to say that it's in Medina because when we see these winds move about on the radar, I could tell you that that would be Old Medina Road going south toward. Excuse me for being ignorant here, Oakfield, and through that community right here. That's where we're seeing the rotation right now on the radar. It is south of Medina, and we saw the tornado signature appear, and right now it has been changed to, looks like 1-inch size hail. There's still a rotation couplet here. The National Weather Service, they didn't update this one at all, it seems like. Usually they've been pretty on top of this, for like 5 or 10 minutes, bringing us updates and, to these tornado warnings this afternoon. But maybe it's just a lack of information, or, the storm is getting further out from their radar. It could be either way. But, secretly in the background, these Weather Service folks there, they are looking at all of the radars. They're looking at these storms from every angle, every corner. They're switching back and forth between Paducah and Hopkinsville and Nashville and what have you. And this has always been a topic of discussion. We're kind of in somewhat of a radar dead zone in some places here in central West Tennessee, and also in the Boot Heel, and that's another topic for another day. But they could use another Doppler radar somewhere up in this neighborhood.
Well, yes, and with the growth that's coming our way, and yes, absolutely. Brian Thomas with us. These weather updates presented by Dustin Ring. Dustin buys houses fast for cash. 731-200-1362. DustinBuys.com. And it's eerily quiet now. The tornado siren has stopped here in Jackson, and the winds appear to be looking out. Brian, as you know, we broadcast from News Talk World headquarters on Highland Avenue, looking over at AutoZone, and there's not much movement with the leaves on the trees right now, and there's virtually no traffic in Highland right here. Each day, the traffic count is between 40 and 50,000 vehicles, so it's a weird look out there right now.
All it takes is turning the tornado sirens on, it seems like, and letting them go. That can run anybody off. I mean, that would run me off as far as that goes. We're not, they really, really talk. I say they talk this up, but look, all of the conditions, all of the, all of the models that were, involved with the forecasting of this day, they were all set up to be.
Yep. Brian, pardon me just 1 second, Brian.
Okay.
I'm going to, Gina Langley's in the line with us. I'm going to bring her in on the call. Brian Thomas, Weatherman's on the line. Gina Langler's in Humboldt. Gina, Brian's on the line with us here. Tell us the situation in Humboldt.
So things have calmed down quite a bit. It stopped raining, but about 10 minutes ago we had hail. The lightning strikes were gigantic. And, of course, the civil service alarms are still going off in Humboldt, but the sky, it's very dark and gray, but it's not raining anymore, and things have settled down.
Yeah, so there was some hail in Humboldt. You can confirm that. Is that what you said?
Yes, there was hail and a huge lightning strike. Like, I could see it just happening over and over in the woods behind our house. And I can still hear all the civil service alarms going off in Humboldt. And we live almost in Three-Way, so Humboldt Three-Way area.
Gina Langley there reporting from Humboldt. Gina, if you can hang with us just 1 second. Brian, what's
Sure.
the latest? Anything breaking right now? Because I hear in the distance another tornado siren has cranked up. And I don't know if that's...
Okay, here, this is what you need to know. It's 7:02. This was 3 minutes ago. Tornado warning remains in effect for these counties: northern Henderson, southeastern Gibson, Carroll, and northeastern Madison. At 7:02, a confirmed tornado was located near Fairview. That's 8 miles south of Milan. This is moving east at 45 miles per hour. We have spotters on the ground out there that have confirmed this tornado. If you are in Milan, Huntington, Three-Way, Atwood, Parker's Crossroads, Wildersville, Medina, Hollow Rock, Clarksburg, McLemoresville, Howley, Hickory Flat, Hillard, Dollar, Cedar Grove, Ledbetter, Union Cross, Leach, Sitka, and Tate. This is a confirmed tornado. So as we were talking earlier, Dan, we were talking about these things lose a little punch and then they get a little punch back. Well, it had enough time to cycle. So this thing may be ramping up again.
And Brian, the atmosphere is cooperating too, isn't it? It's kind of making it juicy and conducive to severe weather. I'm still showing 75 here. It's 6 minutes past 7.
Right. McKellar Field has not, to my knowledge, has received any rain to cool off that area down there. You said you see 75 there. The dew point is still at 61. You know, this is still a pretty churning environment, and those dew points in the 60s is what promotes a lot of this. You know, especially during the daytime, if you get some sunshine in an area with a high dew point, and this thing has managed to stick together pretty well.
Brian Thomas in the line with us from the Weather Center, and he's our weatherman, and he is fantastic. And Gina, so it's still calm over there in Humboldt. And Gina is located, if you know where the Humboldt Country Club is and a golf course, that's the area where Gina's at right now. Kind of, it's just north of Humboldt, south of Three-Way, right?
Yes, and I'm standing looking at the sky. It's very dark. The clouds are moving quickly. There seems to be light behind them, but the civil service alarms are still going off, and it stopped raining. It's kind of getting quiet, eerily quiet.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Is it wasn't? And you said it was raining men earlier, right?
It was. It was pouring down rain for a while. We had lightning. We had hail. The wind seems to be picking up a little bit. The sky is still very dark right over our house, you know, right outside of Three-Way.
Is it that same dark cloud that normally hovers over John, or is it? I'm kidding. Now, so Brian, back to your moment there. What's things like?
I swear you said something that to her that she said it was raining men, but I guess I could be wrong.
You were the only
Could
one.
be
that
my
got
hearing
that.
going bad.
Gina didn't pick up on that.
No, not right. I'm all stressed out.
Yeah, she's stressed out. I'm trying to relieve the stress. But yeah, Gina, I said it. So you reported earlier it's raining men, but it was some serious. It looked serious there for a moment. And Brian was tracking that thing, and Brian, it was tracking right toward Humboldt, and
yeah.
But that was. I'm hearing that the Covington may have had a touchdown, but that's unconfirmed. Brian, are you hearing anything along those lines?
Well, let me tell you what I do have. Let me zoom back out of this radar for just a moment, and I can go back down there and see possibly what had taken place. I do know that there were some storm reports there. I'll tell you what, I'll pull those up. As a matter of fact, though, I do want to tell you, though, there was another tornado warning. It's actually, and this one has another good hook echo on it, Dan. And Gina, look, in Lexa, Arkansas, just to the north of West Helena, and it's on its way to Tunica, and it's on a path for Hernando, Olive Branch, and Coldwater, and Green River, Pleasant Hill, and all these areas down here. So here we go. This may hit the southern portions of the Mississippi, Tennessee state line, Tippah County, and all these areas down here in Holly Springs. But I was going back and looking at the storm reports. It'll take me a minute to pull those up, Dan.
Sure, go right ahead. Brian Thomas, our weather man, is on the line with us. Gina Langley is reporting live from Humboldt, where she said it's settled down over there. A little bit of hail came through. Now it's settled down and almost eerily quiet. Almost the same situation here in News Talk World headquarters on Highland Avenue in Jackson. Is the leaves on the trees are not much movement, and in the distance I can hear a tornado siren, which is the same as a bomb raid siren, so that will get your attention as it should. And but Brian, what do we know now? Because this is as they say, a fluid situation.
It's a fluid situation, Dan. We have seen a tornado. It has been identified by spotters. The rotation that we're seeing out of this thunderstorm cell, this tornadic cell, is still in the neighborhood. That's old information there. Don't let me lie to you there.
Well, it's breaking one on top of the other. I don't know how you keep it all separated, but it's one of those days. Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
Here's the short and skinny of it. And this thing is about to fall into a radar dead zone here in just a second. There's a band in the radar that doesn't show any velocity. It just happens. It's just one of those things. And I might get lucky. I switch to Paducah radar here in just a minute and see what's going on here. But it seems that the center of the rotation, is going to be in this 3-county neighborhood right here, just south of Lavinia, between Lavinia and Spring Creek. If you're in Mount Gilead, Cedar Grove, Howley, Terry, Jumbo, these areas here, I'm showing 70-mile-an-hour winds anyway out of this particular storm here. 73, there's 80, there's 85, on the outer edges of this here. So the wind is there. If you're southeast of the mile in Arsenal, this is the mean of the rotation, I guess, at this point anyway. That's what we're seeing. I'll check the Weather Service one more time here and see if they have not provided an update. It's just Weather Spotters confirmed a tornado at 7:02. It was near Fairview at that time. Now, this thing has slowed down a little bit, moving at 45 miles an hour. And as history goes with supercells, sometimes it's not a good thing for them to slow down.
That's true, yes. Especially
those that tend to cycle, and gain energy that way, or recycle, I guess I should say. As I look at the, let me go over here and switch to this other product here on this dual pole. There's a little something there in this particular area. I'm going back and looking at Hickory Flat and Cedar Grove, and it may very well have moved that far over by now. Looking at the reflectivity where we see all the heavy rain, we still see quite a bit right down here in this area north of Cedar Grove. That would be Hickory Flat and just to the east of Lavinia there. And the Smith community and Howley's right there as well. And then I know you're familiar with all of these communities too. Being a Gibson County boy and all. So
yes.
Riding the back roads and chasing storms when you was 16 and all that stuff.
Chasing something, but it not necessarily storm. But I've been on those back roads because without the iPhones or iPads, we actually had to get out and get creative to entertain ourselves. Yes.
That's exactly right.
Yep.
Okay, let's see. I'm going back and I'm pulling up the storm reports, and I think there's been quite a few too. They've changed their website at the Weather Service a little bit. I think they did that because of me, because I look at a lot of stuff I have to go dig for.
Well, it's because you pay attention to detail, and sometimes it gets on people's nerves. But when it comes to situations like this, Brian, people want the detail, right? Hey, Gina,
right.
You okay, Gina? I guess.
Oh, yeah, things have calmed down quite a bit here in Humboldt.
Yeah. I mean, you can stay on the line if you'd like, but if you want to hang up, and if you, it might be a good time to mix up a Moscow Mule to settle your
Got that
nerves
right.
down.
That got a little stressful. That was a little scary, gentlemen. I'll talk to y'all later.
Gina, thank you for checking in with us. You have a safe night, okay?
You too, Dan.
All right, bye-bye. All right, so...
I do have a little news for you, though, Dan.
Yes, sir.
Now, here at 7:14, about 5 minutes ago, National Weather Service in Memphis, they are now tracking another tornado on the ground. Now, this one, again, this is what we were talking about a few minutes ago near St. Francis National Park. This one is moving east at 55 miles per hour, so it'll probably get to the Mississippi-Tennessee border here in the next hour or so, I guess. It'll definitely get to the bottom of Shelby County right there in Tunica, the Tunica neighborhood there. I'm not entirely sure what the county is right below Shelby County. But Lee County, St. Francis County, Phillips, Crenton, DeSoto, Tunica, and Tate County. So the folks who are down in Bolivar and Savannah, they have, these things to look forward to here coming up soon. Now, I'm pulling up the, okay, so here's the storm reports, and I'll step back through them here. 6:15, this is back in Covington. Covington Hospital has been damaged with patients being rerouted to Lauderdale County. This was reported by law enforcement. At 6:30 in Haywood County, 3 miles west of Brownsville, amateur radio reported one church was destroyed. Several homes were damaged near the intersection of Fulton Road and Evans Road west of Brownsville. Also, 4 miles west of Brownsville, emergency manager reports, let's see, the roof was blown off a trailer on Pepper Lane in Brownsville. Some debris is on the road and in the trees. That was at 6:28. And that would have been, let's see, okay, there's another report at 6:15 south of Covington, 3 miles in Tipton County, roof damage and windows blown out at Chevrolet dealership on Highway 51. That's a big one, south of downtown Covington. And here we are, Cross County and Crittenden County. We go back to 5 o'clock and 5:05. Tornado. This would have been from the public, homes, buildings completely destroyed, trees uprooted or snapped, roof blown off, homes, buildings, and that sort of thing there. And that's the earliest reports that they were logging. And these are, of course, preliminary reports. You have to, most of them all end up being correct anyway, but still, nonetheless, take them with a grain of salt. After today, I don't doubt it, honestly, Dan.
Yeah.
I really don't.
Brian Thomas reporting here in it's the latest on the Doppler weather radar. Brian, what are you looking at now? And are we out of the woods yet? So what's your thoughts here?
Okay, let's see. Here we go. This is a tornado warning, and they sent this a little late, it looks like, but it's 7:10. Confirmed tornado was located 9 miles north of Blue Goose. That would be 9 miles southeast of Milan. This is moving northeast at 45. Damaging tornado, quarter-sized hail. Spotters are following this. And now Huntington, Atwood, Parker's Crossroads, Wildersville, Hollow Rock, Clarksburg, McLemoresville, Halley, Hickory Flat, Hillard, Dollar, Cedar Grove, Union Cross, Leech, Tate, Palmer, Shelter, Buena Vista, Westport, Parker's Crossroads, and New Zion. Look out. We have some important equipment out that direction.
Yeah, I was just saying selfishly.
Yeah, but I do want to tell you though that there is a little bit of an inflow on this storm, and I'll zoom it down here on the radar. Right here, Cedar Grove and Halley. This thing is still kind of gelling right here. Again, it's not moving that fast now. It's slowed down to about 45 miles an hour, as they said. But it's starting to move into this, or I guess I would say move out of this little zone that we all had a little concern for. Being that it's so far up near Clarksburg, let me do something on my end here to see if I can make this a little bit better picture. So, everything that can be seen here, so to speak. Because we're kind of getting into a halfway point. If you have any folks in, looks like Butler County and Starr County in southeast Missouri, have any neighbors or friends, you might want to call them. They're on a tornado warning, it looks like right now. And we're really not getting anything off the producer radar to give us any indication of what's going on with this tornado warning here in Carroll County and the northern part of Henderson County. Let's see if there's any more updates. Now we're in that particular area where we have to, where spotters are really relied upon. They're so far away. The storms are so far away from the Doppler. It's in Memphis, it's in Paducah, and I can't see that far, and,
Yep.
and it can't see. You can see over the mountains in Nashville. So at 7:17, thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. Now we've been downgraded a slight bit here. The tornado warning remains in effect until 7:30, northern Henderson and central Carroll counties. So it's capable now of producing a tornado. They backed off it a little bit. It's 7 miles north of Bargerton, 13 miles southwest of Huntington, moving east at 45. It's radar-indicated rotation. And I'm not going to run down the towns again because we just did that 2 minutes ago. If you're in Carroll County or the northern part of Henderson County, take shelter.
Okay, so one more time, Brian, and to pinpoint that's where you just gave the advice to take shelter from the National Weather Service. They're saying the same thing. Can you pinpoint that once more, please?
Yes, I will tell you once again, this would be the majority of Carroll County and the northern part of Henderson County. A thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located 7 miles north of Bargerton or 13 miles southwest of Huntington. It's moving east at 45 miles per hour. The track is actually a little bit more north than east. Flying debris, damage to roofs, the things that we talked about a while ago in the storm reports. So if you're in the neighborhood of Huntington, Parker's Crossroads, Wildersville, Hollow Rock, Clarksburg, I guess Brewston would be in there too, Buena Vista, all these areas, as it's on its way toward Benton County, and that would be Holiday and those areas way out there. We are seeing a little pocket of rotation now showing up on the Doppler, and this thing still seems like it's hanging out just to the west, or just to the east rather, of Lavinia. But if you're in the neighborhood of Rock Springs or Poplar Springs in Clarksburg, it's coming right at you. The folks in these areas need to be in your shelter. Wildersville, you're going to be on the southern tip of this, but nonetheless, you are in the polygon. Westport, Yuma, Buena Vista, Huntington, Leech, Shiloh. As far as this tornado warning goes right here and is concerned, beyond that would be Brewston, Robinson, and Pond Branch. And again, the National Weather Service, that's showing, stand by just a moment there, Dan, that's showing, okay, as a 38 mile an hour. I was seeing winds that were popping up there above 80 mile an hour on part of that storm right there. It's hard to see circulation again with this radar being so far away from this storm. But to kind of give you an idea, nonetheless, it is still there. We'll switch back over to the reflectivity and see how the storm itself is shaping up. It looks like a hot mess. It's not such a well-defined hook anymore right there. There is quite a bit of heavy rain falling just to the southwest of Clarksburg and Poplar Springs in this neighborhood here. So that would put you, well, I'm not sure what that is. It's going to put you north of I-40, though, nonetheless. Parker Crossroads in the Yuma community right here. Anarch, Williams Chapel, Westport, Poplar Springs, Scott Hill, and this neighborhood here. One more check of anything that's coming from the National Weather Service at 7:17. We had told you about that. Is a radar-indicated rotation for most of Carroll County and the northern part of Henderson County right here, so right along Interstate 40 and Clarksburg, and that would be Parker's Crossroads right here. Holiday, you are on the other side of this tornado warning. So we'll see how this plays out. Once again, Dan, it's starting to move into that dead zone, as they say. But if the spotters are out there, and maybe they're out there chasing after this thing and being careful at the same time, I might add, it would be, it would be a thing that they just continue on I-40, and they probably will, and see what this storm is going to do, because as it gets towards the Tennessee River, that's when we run into a problem. It's hard to see with radar. Now, we do have Hopkinsville, which is right close and nearby, and we could probably go ahead and switch to that and see what that does for us here as far as trying to eyeball this. I'm not sure if it's Hopkinsville or Katie's, where exactly that is. But it'll give us a look back southwest at hopefully what we need to be looking at here as far as the storm goes. If it'll switch for us, but it looks like it's being stubborn here for a minute. We still see this tornado warning. There are several other cells, but they're to the other side of the Tennessee River at this point. The storm that we're talking about in question here, Carroll County, along I-40, it's become kind of disorganized at this point, at least from a Doppler radar standpoint. There's no well-defined hook echo, so to speak. It doesn't mean there's no rotation. We do see rotation markers on the radar, but, all storms are rotating anyway. What we're looking at is a weaker rotation at this point, I guess would be a better way to describe this. Still seeing some small hail in here, heavy downpours in Marcus Crossroad neighborhood, Clarksburg, and these areas right here. This tornado warning is 7:25 right now, News Talk 96.5, and this tornado warning is supposed to expire in about 4 minutes. They haven't updated it again, and therefore they may allow this to expire, being that the severe limits, just by looking at radar, it's fallen quite a bit now. If you look back up at the airport between McKenzie and Huntington on Highway 22, the temperatures dropped down to 68. Of course, it's 7:25 in the evening now. The sun is not out shining. Dew point is still pretty high, still a rich atmosphere here, 64 that we're looking at. 75 and 61. Those numbers really haven't changed at McKellar Field this afternoon. And at Dyersburg, we're looking at 100% relative humidity. The temperature and the dew point is both at 69 right now. So looking further west, actually zooming out just a little bit, try and get a better view of what's going on, what may still be coming at us, which we have had. We've had some coming at us all day. Just a few bands of showers that have moved through and thunderstorms earlier in the day. But there may... Now, Dan, you've heard of the cap, right, in weather terms? Have you heard of the cap?
Okay. With the risk of sounding ignorant, I'm going to keep it. I know. I haven't.
Okay, the cap.
What is the cap?
The cap is the well, for one, it's a measurement. Okay, the more cap you have, the less. Okay, how do I say it? It's negative. Okay, so all storms are buoyant, right? The air rises.
That's right.
Okay, the cap, it's basically a buoyant inhibitor. Basically, the cap keeps it capped. It doesn't let anything out. It stops that air at the surface from rising. So usually on stormy days like this, the cap is in place until the sun comes out and basically, well, bubbles everything up and starts cooking stuff, and then you start to get lift. Right.
Okay.
It's called potential energy, and it's a term they call CAPE, is potential energy. It rises. So what happens is you get these pockets of air that are capped. They cap these potential energies. Essentially, they cancel each other out. So we may be running into a situation here in West Tennessee where there are caps in place in several part of these things where storms are running into these capped, more stable pockets of air. Let's put it that way. And it's causing them to die down a little bit. And that's a blessing when that happens.
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
And
Brian, and I've shown the temperature dropping here as well. Now, it's only dropping 1 degree, but still, it's dropping with as I'm looking out the window here. We have bay windows. We have those custom installed, but that's a different story. It looks, if the sky looks infected again, like it's swelled up and festered up. But go right ahead, and we'll check the radar once you finish, because I love to learn it. And everybody talks about the weather, as Mark Twain said, but no one ever does anything about it. But this is something that affects every single one of us, and I think a lot of people are enamored and love to learn about the weather. So you go right ahead.
Well, basically that's what it is. I mean,
Now we got a
you have
warning
an
coming.
atmos-
Brian, I'm sorry. We got a warning coming that's going to take you. If you're listening on the app, you won't hear this warning, so I'll repeat it to you. But on the radio, our EAS, which Brian installed, is going off right now. Let's see what it says, Brian.
Okay, put it to it.
Well,
Okay.
it's thinking about it.
Tuesday, mostly. It must be on your end.
Yeah, here it is. Here it comes across right now.
Okay. You don't have to tell me what it is. I can't hear it.
Yeah, I'll repeat it. Tornado warning for Benton County, southeastern Carroll County.
Okay.
Okay, it was a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. Was about 4 minutes ago spotted about 7 miles north of Parker's Crossroads.
Okay.
So there you go. That's the latest tornado warning there. Benton County and parts of Carroll County.
Yep. It just came in now. Radar indicated
Are
rotation.
you picking up on that now?
Yeah, it finally came across over
Okay.
here.
Well, I tell you, if you want to pick that up right there, Brian, if you got it in front of you on the app, you go right ahead.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we'll get back to this right here. The other tornado warning has expired, and they have replaced part of the Carroll County tornado warning with this new tornado warning, and we'll recap that for people who have not heard. This is a new tornado warning issued at 728 Benton County in southeastern Carroll County. This goes until 8:15. A severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado 7 miles north of Parker's Crossroads, or that could be 7 miles south of Huntington. And I'm going to take the radar. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on this area. And that would be, hello, Mother, right here. Okay. So right here, basically where this little bit of a weak place is right here. Well, they actually have the rotation back there, Poplar Springs, and that may be correct, too. Move one thing out of the way so we can see another here. A pretty good little rotation on that right there at the surface there. So to recap what we were talking about here, 3 minutes ago, the thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was 7 miles north of Parker's Crossroads. Check. 7 miles south of Huntington. Check. So we're right in the neighborhood here, moving northeast at 50 miles per hour. And one thing the Weather Service doesn't do, they do a pretty good job of all of this, where they, tell what, where this thing is going to be and when it's going to be, and everything that you need to know. But they leave out some of the important communities too. There's little communities out here with 20 people living on. So
That's the advantage we have, Brian. We're from here. We know all these small towns, right? And these little places, unincorporated places.
That's exactly right. So, what happens is I'll just punch that in there. I'll tell you exactly some of these communities right here: Westport, Garrettsburg, Dollar, Buena Vista, Robinson, Ismonda. Ismonda's out there. Tin Cup. People tend to forget about Tin Cup. Chalk Level, Mount Moriah, Birdsong Heights. When was the last time you've been to Birdsong Heights?
That's right.
Dan?
Yep, been a while.
Black Center, Rockport, Eva. I like Eva out there. That's a good place. New Johnsonville. These are folks that's in the path of this storm as it moves off to the northeast at 45 miles per hour. Plant, Denver, Polecat, Bursley, Bakerville, not Bakersfield. Don't get it confused
That's
with
right.
the song. And then Old Fields Place. So you're actually looking at a population, a little more than 5,500 people out in these rural communities. We don't want to forget about these folks.
Exactly. Yes.
So
they appreciate that too, because they, if their electricity goes out, make sure you download our free mobile apps for Apple and for Android products. News Talk 96.5 FM. It's a free mobile app for Apple and for Android products where you can listen to us in our severe weather coverage, brought to you by Dustin Ring. Dustin buys houses fast for cash. DustinBuys.com, and take us with you. If you go to the storm shelter, if your electricity goes out, you'll have us with you via our free mobile apps. Brian, you go right ahead, sir.
Okay, back to the radar for just a second. There's not going to be an update this soon anyway. And again, like I was telling you a while ago, the further out these storms get, unless you have spotters on the ground that's chasing after these storms and being careful in the process of chasing after these things. And I don't know how much storm chasing you've done in your lifetime. I've done quite a bit. But, I hung all of that up a long time ago to sit here and do this. So, I'm kind of the studio guy doing this now. But you have to put the map with the spotter and figure out where they are, what they're talking about here, and you got to have the tools here like the velocity picture to see if there are rotating couplets on here. You got to know if there is a wedge tornado on the ground like we've seen earlier today. If you watched any of the video out of Little Rock as it crossed the Baptist Hospital in Little Rock up there, I think it was an EF3 up there, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right, yeah.
It was a monstrosity. It went across the National Weather Service. They had to take shelter over there in Little Rock. That was the thing they had to do. And also, I think it edged the airport in Little Rock just a little bit there out north.
Right.
But you got to take all of these things into account. When you have spotters on the ground, they're looking at this stuff. But here's the problem. If you're on I-40, you're in Carroll County or Benton County and Carroll County, and you end up going through Natchez Trace, which is roughly where, in the neighborhood of this, there's nothing but trees and hills up there. There is no good chasing or spotting land up there. I mean, you can't just pull off the side of the road and do this thing. This thing might swoop down out of the sky,
right,
at the top of the hill. I mean, everybody saw the movie Twister, and that's what happened to them when they were out there. There's nothing but trees and hills. You get caught like that. But to my point, there's no good chasing at night when you have all of this stuff on either side of you on a 4-lane highway. So then the spotter reports become a little bit more, scarce. Now you have to rely on Doppler radar, which is what they're doing. And there's a few pockets of rotation in here. Like I said, Poplar Springs, Westport, and Clarksburg. Of course, they issued this tornado warning. But you may not get frequent updates like you would the Tipton County storm, which this is the same storm. It's gotten a little bit weaker as it's moved into West Tennessee and moved across West Tennessee. So, but I'm going to tell you, some people got it bad tonight, and we'll see more storm reports out of far West Tennessee and down Southwest Tennessee as this thing has come across and up through Crockett County, I guarantee you. But, one thing to keep in mind, if you're in the tornado warning, what safety precautions do you have? Do you even have your emergency kit ready? I've got that 5-gallon bucket full of, canned food. I mean, if a tornado hits your house, and it's going to throw all of your stuff, all over the place, you don't have an emergency kit. You may need something. You may need a first aid kit. That should be in your emergency kit. Right. But, hopefully your emergency kit is in your basement or your safe room or whatever you feel is safe, that you have planned this out. Oh, the tornado's not going to hit my house. Well, you know what? I'm sitting on top of a hill in the middle of Dresden, and I can tell you that if it's coming this way, I'm not going to be sitting in this chair because I don't have a place to crawl off into yet. That scares me. And it should scare anybody else, too, if you're not prepared. Don't let the storm scare you, but you make sure you're prepared for these things, because these things are really coming more commonplace and more frequent. And this was supposed to be a very active season. We're in April now, tomorrow, I mean, we're in like month 1, month 2, month 3. You start getting into June, stuff starts waning. You start seeing stuff way up north in the Great Lakes. But for now, this is chase season in Dixie Alley and Tornado Alley and tornado season in general. And it's been pretty dang active, I mean, last time it was really much of a ruckus was in, in 2021. Yeah, it's been that long ago. When the storm came through Mayfield, came through New Bern, it came within 3/4 of my house here in Dresden. And here's the thing: you can't see this stuff at night. Only if there's lightning can you see any of this stuff.
That
So
adds
you don't
to
need to.
that adds to Brian. It adds to the just absolute fear that we have here in
Yeah.
West Tennessee because we've had killer tornadoes for the last several years.
That's right. But you can't be afraid of it. You just need to be prepared and ready to go where you need to go to get out of its way. Somebody gave you a brain to work with. I hope everybody uses it. I mean, I try to, even if it is running the opposite direction. And then they do say if you are caught out in the open, they used to say make a right angle opposing the direction of its movement. So if it's moving off to the northeast, you do like I did back in December 10th. You'd go up to Highway 22 and make a beeline toward McKenzie. That's basically a 90-degree angle. You get away from it because you don't want to be out and exposed in these things. But then again, you got to be careful. You got to consider wind shear and here's the thing with the chasers: they always need an escape route. I-40 has no escape routes.
If that's true, yes. Have you, Brian? Did you ever, when you were doing the storm chasing bit, did you ever get in a situation where you thought, okay, I'm not sure I'm going to make it out of here. It looks like this tornado's turned on me. Have you been in one of those situations?
There has been one. I almost drove directly into one. It was producing a tornado. I think this was back in 2000. It could have been 2003 or 2004. It was just a middle May tornado or something like that. It was coming through Dyer County, and of course 412 is the route you take if you live in Jackson. The quickest way there. We ran into the butt end of this storm, and it's 7 o'clock, and the storm has already overtaken the sky. It's dark out there, and you run right up into this thing, and then wait a minute, maybe I don't need to go past the overpass because now I've got this quarter-size hail that's fallen, and it has beaten me to death, beaten my vehicle to death. And I remember the bed of the truck was full of quarter-size hail that was falling. Right there, that tornado. It was right there, the Dyer County, Crockett County line, which would have been like the Bonnie Court area right there. And you know what? That was one time. It was intense for me. I'll say that it was intense. But at the same time, I'll say, well, maybe I need to back off of it a little bit. Maybe I got too close. And every storm spotter has an idea that maybe you do get a little close every now and then. But you know what? You're taught to, don't take those extreme risks. A lot of people are putting those probes down and all that stuff out west. They're doing the work. They're the scientists. But I don't just go do it for the thrill of it, because I will tell you, December 10th, I've never been truly afraid of one of these storms until December 10th hit. And I'm in a subdivision. I'm exposed. I have no place to crawl off into. I need to get in the vehicle. I need to escape this. I need to run somewhere. And that was some people say, well, that's the dumbest thing you could do. Well, yeah, it was. I left the house 3 minutes before it hit the Highway 22 where it really started doing, damage inside the city limits.
Well, Brian, as they say, that everybody has a plan until they get hit in the mouth.
Well, that's true. That is very true. And with all that being said, Dan, the tornado warning has been dropped for Benton County.
And this just came in Milan Police Department. The latest tornado warning for Gibson County has been canceled. Now, there is a tornado watch in effect until 1 a.m. for Gibson County. And, Brian, I guess that would include pretty much all of West Tennessee, the tornado watch until 1 a.m. Is that still that hasn't changed, I don't suspect. What do you know anything contrary?
No, that hasn't changed. Now, as the front passes toward the east, it will slowly drop. They will slowly drop off counties out of the tornado watch. I can tell you right now that the most active portions of the entire storm system will be around Hernando, Mississippi, and Tunica right now, and would be moving into South Memphis around the airport here in just a little bit, and then to the east of Poplar Bluff and the neighborhood of Sykeston and that area up there, and the Boot Hill. These are the most active places in the storm. The cold front is still. It seems like it's still way back out Fayetteville, Arkansas, and west of Little Rock. At the moment, there's some spotty showers and thunderstorms. Looking back, though, if these temperatures are right, looking at some of these locations out in East Arkansas and Central Arkansas, Batesville, 74 and 65. Now, when I say that, the first number is the temperature, the other number is the dew point. When you have dew points in the 60s and like low to mid and upper 60s, that's your cooking environment for storms. Jacksonville, Arkansas. It took a direct hit from a tornado just to the northeast of Little Rock.
Yeah.
74-64. Searcy, 74-65. Same in Batesville, Newport, Jonesboro, Walnut Ridge, all of these places. This is still a rich environment. You know, Dyersburg's still at 100% humidity, but again, some of these storms may have some trouble getting started because we start to see this capping as the daylight wanes and that energy's burned off. The cap will go back into place, you know, in a lot of these storms. So, yeah, we had a long-lived supercell tonight. It crossed all across West Tennessee and up through Madison County. There's no doubt about this thing. I mean, it come through Central and East Arkansas, through Wynn and crossing Poinsett County and all that over there too. You know, that's just one storm, and that's been kind of the newsmaker right now, but be careful looking behind this down at Hernando, Mississippi, and South Haven. I've got a good friend that did not go to South Haven tonight. And if they're listening, I'll go ahead and give you an update on this, too. About 10 minutes ago, National Weather Service Memphis put out a tornado warning for Tunica, Tate, Shelby, and DeSoto County. Confirmed large and extremely dangerous tornado is located near Robinsonville, 15 miles southeast of Hughes, moving northeast at 50 miles per hour. So here we go again. Another life-threatening situation. Radar confirmed tornado. A chaser at 7:35, which was 11 minutes ago, reported a tornado crossing Highway 61 just north of Tunica. Here comes round two for these folks down here. So Shelby County has kind of been sandwiched in between two major supercells tonight, and this thing is going to progress across the Tennessee-Mississippi border. And on its current track, I'll go ahead and track it right now. We've got watchers online and listeners and everything else. I mean, just long term, and I'll shoot just a little bit to the south. Folks in Collierville and some of these other communities here, Moscow, LaGrange, Salisbury, Hickory Valley. So that's going to put you south of Bolivar. And south of Whiteville, Middleton. So we're down here in and even over into Bethel Springs and Selmer. You know,
Brian,
that's what we're looking here.
Yeah, let me ask you this: while you're tracking that to see which way you think that's going to go. I'm showing it's at USJ. They're reporting at dew point at 62 right now, and it's McKellar-Sipes 61, and one more about 2 miles from here. Into Cove, it's a 64 dew point. Is that good, bad, or what for us here in Jackson?
The dew point is in the 60s, and what's the temperature at that third location?
It's 75, and the pressure is 29.75, and that ranges out to USJ 29.78. Same thing in McKellar. McKellar is actually reporting 29.76, the pressure.
Well, aside from it just being damp outside, I mean, the environment, as far as temperature and dew point, is still favorable for storm development.
Yeah, I'm showing at 75. It's out here near Midtown. It's 73 at USJ and 75 degrees right now at McKellar-Sipes. Brian.
And you know, just saying that with this rich environment, I mean, look off to your west here of you, Brownsville. You see this shower that has just developed. We have another one over there, Luxor and Osceola, crossing the river right now.
So let me stop you right there. Because if you're looking at the radar and you say, well, this thing's breaking up, so you're saying that, okay, we got some new stuff developing because of the conditions being right. Is that what you're saying?
That's right. Because what's going on is again, we'll go back to these pockets of negative buoyancy. Okay, so stormy atmosphere is buoyant, the air is rising, and then you have this cap in place, which is well basically negative air. It's keeping this sealed up. It's not allowing those storms to plume and grow updrafts.
Is it almost like a glass ceiling there that's preventing that? Is it what?
It's something to that effect. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
That's but it's it's keeping that from going. And some people even consider this cap that we talk about, this invisible cap, that it acts like a capacitor. It traps energy. But you got to think, you're going into the nighttime hours, and you're going to lose energy anyway. And as these fronts and things push out of here, it's the cap goes back into place. If the cold front and everything else is lining up right and allowing this energy to be pushed out of the way, moved on somewhere else. But the cap there may be pockets of this cap across West Tennessee. That's why we're not seeing, just giant updrafts just blowing up, because when you look, there's a supercell in Hernando, Mississippi right now. There's a supercell to the east of Poplar Bluff. As a matter of fact, it's in Sykeston right now. I'm looking at the Paducah radar up here, which they have a radar indicated tornado for Stoddard County up there. But where's the rest of the weather? Well, you see these pop-up showers, but they're not being allowed to grow in intensity. That those updrafts are not there because there are caps in place in the atmosphere. You got to think of it as pockets of air. They call them parcels, and it's widespread. The Weather Service says it's widespread outbreak or whatever you want to call it. But if the atmosphere is not right in some of these places, maybe there was a change in atmosphere. Maybe there was a wave of energy, like a dry line or something, that pushed through a certain area and it didn't recover. Didn't get enough sunshine. I mean, there's different factors in this that will activate or will prevent thunderstorms from firing, and that's how this crazy mess operates. So,
it's tricky, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it really is. You got to take one at a time. It's like these showers. They got mystery showers here in Dyer and Trenton. I didn't even know there was a place called Vaughn's Grove. Now I do. And there's a little shower right there.
Yep.
Yeah, you've been there, haven't you?
been there, done that. Yes, it was spent a week there one night. Brian, it's it seems calm out there right now, and it was tornado sirens less than an hour ago, and everyone's kind of settled in. It's almost the streets look like it did during the lockdown of COVID. It's kind of eerie out there right now, but we're not. This doesn't mean we're exactly out of the woods yet, folks. And if you're listening on Facebook or our social media comments, let us know where you're at and what the conditions are, or if you've suffered some wind damage, that sort of a thing. Let us know. And if you have suffered wind damage, you can call our phone lines. Sponsored by CWA Development. They specialize in wood repairs, fence and deck repairs if you've had any damage, fire and water damage, storm repairs. They do it all, commercial and residential. 80 years of experience right here in Jackson. Local people doing it better. CWA Development. Their phone number, just jot it down, because when you survey tomorrow, you may need them. 731-503-9598. And they're open Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. But for emergencies, you can reach them on Sundays as well at 731-503-9598. Okay, Brian, back to you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. PDS Tornado Watch continues until, drumroll please, 8 o'clock tonight. When is that? 5 minutes from now.
Okay.
5 minutes from now. That's the PDS Tornado Watch. It was issued at 12:30 today, so it's had a good 7-hour run on it. Just a minute. Oh boy, been up too long.
Just like the storms, Brian, you're losing your punch as we move into the overnight hours. Me, I'm just the opposite. Thanks to my routine.
That's right. You're just getting ramped up.
That's right. Yes.
All right, the tornado watch was issued just before 6 o'clock, tornado watch number 97. This was also a PDS tornado watch, and it goes until 1 a.m. And the counties involved in this watch would be these looking eastward here, which would be Henry County, Carroll County, Madison County, all the way down. What's just below you there?
Just below Madison County is Chester County. We got Chester almost to our immediate south, and then, of course, Chester, then Hardeman's down that way. And
that's right, Hardeman, Oliver, right?
That's right, yes.
Yep. So you draw a line from there all the way down to Greenwood, Mississippi, and draw a line about 100 miles to the east. So maybe even further than that, maybe 150 miles to the east. So just to the east of Nashville. Draw you a box, fill it in right there. That's the tornado watch number 97 that goes until 1 a.m. But you got to think, everybody from Henry County down to Oliver, down to Hardeman County, you're on the leading edge of the tornado watch, so they could possibly start dropping off counties as the conditions become less favorable for this stuff, and they're known to do that too.
Yeah, it's right now. We don't know exactly what's happening in Covington, but right here in Jackson, it seemed like what was it, a week ago today, that the Mississippi was ravaged by these tornadoes coming through, and in years past, they seem to take the same track right through West Tennessee, and Jackson seemed to be the epicenter. Is there something to that? Each season, it seems like a lot of these storms take the same track. What's that about?
We've always said, and you might be superstitious or may not be superstitious, and then some people say that there's no science to back that up. And what I'm talking about is, there's several different things going on. You have the Mississippi River. And everybody always says, every time that storm hits that river, it all just turns into a line, or it hits that river and it just splits. It goes north of us or goes south of us.
That's right. And some people will say, well, if the pyramid's doing this, it's breaking it up here.
Yeah.
You've heard that,
right.
I'm sure.
There's no scientific evidence, but you know what? If you lived here for 40 years or 50 years or however long, it just seems like it's just commonplace or common sense, even though there's no science to it. But there's got to be something to it, You can't prove it. No way you look at it, you can't prove it. And, of course, Hub City, Jackson, Jackson is a bowl. Jackson is a bowl shape, Well, what's that?
Right.
What's that got to do with anything? I don't know what that has to do with anything.
Right.
But I know one thing. It's taken 3 tornadoes in the last, 25, 30 years? So, there may be something to that, the shape of how Madison County's laid out. I mean, land features. But, it doesn't matter. They've had them in the Smoky Mountains, thousands of feet up in the air. To me, it just seems like it doesn't care. It's just random.
Yes, it is.
But,
yep.
But you know what? Once you start doing this kind of stuff right here, and all the atmosphere is perfect for, thunderstorm development. And, I'm even seeing some refiring back northwest of West Memphis, that might be moving through Mississippi County here. We don't know what's going to happen, but, only time will tell. But I can tell you this, we've had one big supercell come through, and they talked about multiple supercells today. And number 2 is about to come into West Tennessee. It's about to come up through Memphis and LaGrange in this area down here, Fayette County. There's just some capping going on. And one of the things that I'm going to look at, too, here in just a second on the radar side over at the other side, ken10weather.net, I can switch this over to to what's going on with, what they're looking at in the models, the computer models. It tells you a lot about what's going on in the atmosphere and where things, supposedly will be in the next 3 to 6 hours. It's good learning food for your brain when you start getting into this stuff and you say, oh, well, yeah, there's a possibility. It's showing a line of thunderstorms right here at 9 o'clock. So in about an hour, especially if you're listening to WBFG Parker's Crossroads Jackson, you might see a line of thunderstorms pushing through West Tennessee again here in just a little bit. And what they call that like a a linear convective system. Basically, it's a line. Linear is line, right?
That's right.
So,
Yes.
so this thing may very well organize over the next hour or two into a line of thunderstorms. What I said, when it hits the Mississippi River, it organizes into a line of thunderstorms, because according to the computer model they've been basing all of this off of today, it's showing a line forming at the Mississippi River. So, you know, I mean, it's going to do it. You know, and basically what that means is that this front is picking up, it's pushing this energy forward, and any of these supercells that are out here that's been, like, I guess there's something going on down in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. We know definitely just south of Memphis. If this edge of this front picks up and starts scooping these up, it'll eat it. And a lot of times it'll just eat the energy out of those supercells, and they just become, instead of being discrete, individual supercells, they become part of the line. And that can be good and that can be bad. Sometimes they lose their energy to the line, and then sometimes they continue to have tornadoes embedded in the line. We don't know how this is going to go, so that's why we've got to play it, little by little here. But the forecast model right now, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 10 o'clock is showing in some of the worst part to be over in Madison County and Henderson and back in Benton County again. But that's what they're saying right now. Well, that's what Mr. Computer is saying, that about 2 hours we should start seeing a line form at the Mississippi River from Evansville all the way down to Greenville. And this mess push off to the east through Nashville, down through Huntsville, Gadsden, Alabama, and all these other places here overnight. And it just depends. I mean, it really does how the upper air is behaving, where the caps are in place.
Right.
But the dew points and the temperatures, if you look at it as a basic weather standpoint, those things are still in place right now. So, all we can do is take a standby and give it time and see what happens. I hate to say that, but that's the way it happens.
That's the way it goes. Yes, you can't rush freshness, and you can't induce this weather to. It's going to do its things, but it does. It's Mother Nature, and again, severe weather coverage tonight being presented by Dustin Ring. Dustin buys houses fast for cash. Houses, trailers, land. And if you need to sell fast, call Dustin. Dustin buys houses fast for cash at 731-200-1362. DustinBuys.com is the website. And local people stepping forward to make sure you have severe weather coverage. And thanks to Dustin Buys Houses fast for cash for doing that. DustinBuys.com. Brian Thomas is in the Weather Center for us, and he's one of the best of the best. And he takes this stuff. He's like a mad scientist in a lab, and dew points and barometric pressures, you name it. And Brian, so what you're describing is we may have some new developments around the Mississippi River. Is that the case?
It is very popular. Popular. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of something. It's very possible that what you're saying is true here. What we're seeing is, we don't see it yet, but we see the forecast models in about 90 minutes, a couple hours here, coming together and forming a line. This whatever energy is left over in the atmosphere, it's just going to grow it into a line. And my dumb self, I have closed out of my stuff. I don't know how in the world I managed to do that. But, we're seeing some firing. Again, back over into, that would be south of Unionville. That would put it into the Halls neighborhood, I guess. There's this little shower over there. It's just, pain-in-the-mouth shower that's just kind of hanging out. But that might be the precursor to this line that's forming. If you draw a line from there back down into East Arkansas, Cross County and that, it's a very broken line right now. But as the minutes, progress forward here into the next hour or two, that whole thing, it might just turn out into a line and, blow on out of here. Some of us may not see anything. May just see some rain, and it's gone, and then it gets cold. But, I'll tell you this. There is a there's a little dry front way back in Arkansas, according to the fronts that are drawn on here. I don't know when the last update was, but I'm still seeing temperatures in the mid 70s, Little Rock, and Jonesboro, these places. They're up in Missouri. The cold front hasn't come through yet. That's the problem. It's back around, well, yeah, I guess, in the neighborhood of Branson. I could tell you what the towns were over there. But, I'm seeing 68. And some places have already seen their dose of the dew points, and they're capped, or they don't have the moisture to promote thunderstorm growth. But I'm seeing 72, 65, 70, 67 in Carbondale, 70, 61 at Paducah, 69, 62. That's not quite Owensboro, but, you get the idea here. We still have quite a bit of humidity and lift in place. As a matter of fact, this is Stoddard County here. I'm heading back up into Missouri again for your neighbors up there. Tornado, a storm capable of producing a tornado is near Sykeston, tornado quarter-sized hail, and that goes for Scott County until 8:15. Now, here's the trick of that. There was a tornado signature on the radar right there. That atmosphere is still very, very ramped up and wound up for this activity, and it's going to carry over into Alexander County when it crosses over into Illinois. So, well, you look there, and then you look back south towards South Haven, where the other big storm is right now. As a matter of fact, it's about to cross over into Collierville. Oh, well, let's give you an update on this. This just came out a minute ago. Shelby County, DeSoto County, 804 confirmed tornado located near Hernando, moving northeast at 45. $half size hail, 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Weather spotters confirmed the tornado at 7:55. This was at Fog Road, Interstate 69 intersection there. This one is making its way across the border right now. Let's take a look right here. There is a storm spotter. I don't know if I can pull his video feed up or not. This would be Don Murray driving in the dark, and I can't really tell anything right here. This is really neat, Dan, because, we were feeding that video feed out a while ago, and some of the storm spotters have cameras in their vehicles.
Now that's something that when the movie Twister was made, but 1996, I believe, that they didn't have that, and boy, that does add an element to it, doesn't it? It takes you right down and puts you in the vehicle with a storm spotter, the storm chaser, and it gives you an idea. And it's the same. People watch that for the same reason we watch horror movies. It gives you that adrenaline rush, but you're sitting at home in your lazy boy, completely safe.
Right.
But you're still able to experience it. And that's what when these storm chasers and storm spotters, when they have those cameras, it adds an element to it, doesn't it?
Right. Yeah, and even some of the stationary cameras, too, they've got them all around. This storm that we're talking about right here is passing through Olive Branch. There's a stationary camera at the top of City Hall in Olive Branch. I just switched over there. You can see it at ken10weather.net over there. You can see the American flag and looks like the Mississippi state flag and other things over there, but you can't see anything right now. It's in total whiteout because the rain and the wind is so heavy right there. That area is under a tornado warning. And, and the screen froze just as the lightning hit right there. And
of course.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. That is something. Do I need to keep it right here for a minute? I don't know if something's actually coming at Olive Branch. I guess it's very possible. There's some strange stuff going on, but anyway, just keep in mind though, this is the stuff that's going to be coming into Tennessee anytime.
Right.
Especially folks down in Bolivar and like you're saying, LaGrange, down in Fayette County in these areas. It's going to be at your back door here in just a minute. So anyway, there's that. This stuff is ongoing, and looks like they just put out a brand new tornado warning. A radar-indicated tornado at 8:06 was located over Lewisburg or near Olive Branch, moving northeast at 60. So, we were looking at the Olive Branch camera there, at City Hall was this tornado blowing in. I guess.
Boy.
I know, but anyway, my wife tells me that I go down the rabbit hole. That does happen sometimes. I won't lie, but you know.
Well, that curiosity, though, is what's taking you into the weather lab to mix all those potions together to find out what's headed our way.
You would think I would at least make money off of it somehow. You know, this is very selfish. I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that. That's terrible. No.
Well, hey, it's not about greed. It's security, Brian. Don't be ashamed to want to squeeze $1 out of this. Don't be ashamed to do that, Brian. I have the same thoughts as well. Can we get a sponsor, please? Yes. No, but it's. I tell you though, it's a passion of yours, and it shows. I mean, you've been on here for 2 hours because you know, and you want to alert the people because when severe weather comes in, it's what we do.
And you know what, I know you've been at it. You know, first and foremost, firsthand, you've had hands on with this stuff. It's dog with you. You know, back in the day,
right?
When, you know, you were somewhere downtown and that would have been May 4th, 2003, I believe, because
That's
I was right up the street from you there at another place, and that was a mess. You know, I haven't had that extent of shock since then. You know.
Oh, that was a night when it was actually, but yeah, it was. The sun had gone down when that hit in downtown Jackson. Just missed you. I mean, it brushed us enough to condemn that building we were in. And just how fortunate we were to make it through that. And I never forget in that stairwell, tornado sirens going off, and the doors had blown open. We couldn't get out and get in the basement. We had to ride it out. And the oldest building at the time in Jackson, where one time Bill Wade and I were doing the show, and we were on the 3rd floor of a 3-story building, and somebody cranked up a Harley down on the street, and it sounded like it was in the studio. And
no.
And Bill said, "Folks, don't be alarmed. That was the general manager going on a sales call." And that's how flimsy the walls were. And I never forget looking at Harold, and there was a sign in the stairwell, "No smoking," because of course me and Bill would creep in that stairwell and smoke. And Harold, I said, "Harold, you think they mind if I smoke?" And he said, "Well, there's no smoking sign there, young man." I said, "I'm kidding. We're about to die. I must smoke him if I got him." But that triggered. It was a series of. It seemed like every 3 days, Brian, of that year there was tornado warnings. You remember that?
Yes. It was ongoing. I remember. Now, I was trying to remember if you were in the one in 1999 or it was the one in 2003, because the one in 2003 was the one that hit downtown.
Right.
But I mean, that was the night that it had first hit Dyersburg, South Dyersburg. Okay, and I said, "Well, I'll just go down to the TV and get the camera and get the van and go to Dyersburg." Because something had happened, and we were getting reports. I was getting phone calls. People on the hotline and everything. So we got in the truck and go to Dyersburg, and then when I got to Dyersburg, is when the one hit North Parkway. I mean, you're going to think that was a big storm, though. I mean, I live at North Parkway and Highway 45, or Highland there.
Right.
I live there in those apartments, and it had hit downtown. It had hit that thing downtown, and that damage was all the way up to Parkway. Those traffic lights twisted around and everything that you could think of. I mean, it was a mess. But I was in Dyersburg when Jackson was getting hit, so we raced back to Jackson, and by that time, I mean, I don't think you could get in. I don't think you could get down North Royal there, because I don't even remember how I got back to the station. I really don't remember, but it was a long time ago. I do remember that. I remember going out to Pringles Park. It had gotten hit, and then went out toward Oak. What's it out there north? Almost to Medina.
Oakfield, yes.
Yeah, Oakfield. So I went out there, and parts of that had been damaged too. But But I remember there was tornadoes touching down just east of Oakfield the next day in the sunlight at like noon. So, those long-term ongoing events, those are things that you just don't forget. I mean,
I know you do not. No, and that's what it's things like that that we've been through triggers us to. I mean, I could be at a nightclub, doing my thing, but here we are with severe weather. It's part of what we do. A big thing that we do is, Brian, you take it very seriously, is community service. This is a part of it.
That's right. That's right. We all take it in with community service, and we document that type of stuff because we're trying to help people out and trying to, do something to keep them safe, warn them out of the way, whatever it takes, because we don't want anybody to get hurt in all of this stuff. Mother Nature is going to be Mother Nature, and she's not going to change. So.
No, she's not. She's fairly consistent, Brian. There's no doubt about that, and that's what we, while we're in this business is, it is a tough business. That's reason why you ain't in it, and some of you out there listen, because it's a tough business. It's a reason why. Punk holding the camera, why he ain't in it. It's a tough business.
It's a good business. I wouldn't be in it if it wasn't. Because only the tough survive.
Only the tough survive, Brian.
Well, that's right. So, toughen it up, drink some strong coffee, grow a pair, whatever you got to do to
that's right.
Make it, take it. And this is what we do. We do it for a living. We live behind the mic, I guess you would say. So.
That's right, Brian. And so what's the latest... we're going to join the Memphis Grizzlies here in just a bit. Now we'll be back on if duty calls.
Are they playing in town? Where are they playing?
Yeah, they're in Memphis tonight, I do believe, Brian.
I mean,
so
it may have paused because of the tornado warning. Because they've been under the tornado warning for the last 45 minutes. So possibility.
But that is true.
They have. I was looking here in, what's this town here? Just east of Olive Branch. Chasers, they've had their video going. This one was. We've been watching this from Don Murray, who's been on the ground down there. He's driving around in the dark, and they're following this thing. Looks like they're going to be following it all the way to Piperton and Moscow and up through LaGrange here, up through. I wouldn't think Tippah County or Tishomingo. We're one of those counties right there. But since we've been talking here and Gavin, the line that we were talking about back on the Mississippi River from Wynne, Arkansas, all the way up to Osceola, the line is starting to come together.
That's just like you suspected it might. We're setting it still at 73 degrees in the high today. Brian was 75, so we've not seen the temperature take much of a nosedive whatsoever. Even once the sun went down, it's normally, as you know by now, that's typical, but it's not happening tonight, is it?
No, it definitely has not died down yet, and it won't. I don't think. I think we'll at least be in the upper 60s, lower 70s until the cold front finds its happy little way through our area here. One thing that I was trying to look a while ago, and that's how I ended up shutting the system down. I don't know how in the world I did that. I'm looking at the lift values right now, what the computer models are telling me. We're still, at 8 o'clock, that's right now. At 8 o'clock, we are still in a very favorable environment for storms to form. Now, along the Mississippi River is even a more favorable environment. We've got quite a bit of CAPE, which is your lift factor. Okay, remember CAPE. CAPE is lift is CAPE.
Right.
I guess you would call that moderate. Or it's low end to moderate lift. We have enough lift there. Weakley County has there's some lift. Now, central West Tennessee, where Jackson, you've got quite a bit of lift right down there. At least that's what this model is telling me here. Let me go back and step it forward 1 hour, because that's a couple hours maybe even. Let's see, there's 10 o'clock right here. Because, some of this stuff doesn't even get in a hurry. Usually when the cold front gets up underneath it, it'll sweep it. It'll push it.
Well, so what happens to slow it down like this? A cold front kind of rushes it along. What slows it down?
Well, I mean, supercells, whether they get in, a good part of the jet stream or not. The jet stream has had a lot to play with all of these, the promotion of these supercells today. And I guess it's been right over us, but, we're not going to see a big push until maybe a couple hours from now. As we look back, it wasn't forecasted. We'll check that here in just a minute because I'm now looking at these computer models. I was looking at 10 o'clock, seeing quite a bit of potential energy back in the Boot Hill, Missouri and East Arkansas, and this is at 10 o'clock tonight. Let me change this product over to the what we call the cap. Basically, it's the inhibitor of the cape and the cap.
Gotcha. Right.
Are you confused yet?
No, I'm with you. I'm hanging with you, Brian, making notes.
Yeah, okay. Take a look. I was looking at it. Okay, so let's see where our caps are in place. So at 10 o'clock tonight, there are moderate caps in place along the Mississippi River. But to the west, it's in the 40s and in the 50s. There's a big cap in place right over Jackson at 10 o'clock tonight. But other places like Whiteville and Bolivar, I'm just scrolling through here, Carroll County, there's less cap, which, that kind of promotes storm growth if you have no control over the potential energy. So certain places are capped really good as opposed to others. All right, that's 10 o'clock. We'll back it up 1 hour to 9 o'clock and see what's being said there. But the big thing is going to be where the jet is. Now, unfortunately, come 9 o'clock, Gibson County, a good chunk of Gibson County, all of Weakley County, is not going to have a cap over top of it, and it kind of scares you a little bit. That's when you have to play those storms, by ear. As we're talking, there's a moderate cap in place over most of West Tennessee at 9 o'clock. But back over in East Arkansas, things could get, a little ramped up down past Osceola and Marion, over in Cross County in that area again. The big thing is you've got these supercells that are moving out. You got another one moving into West Tennessee right now up through Collierville. It's going into this giant pocket of, whether it's either stable or unstable air. The dew points are nice, but there's a lot of capping involved here at 8 o'clock. Brownsville, Haywood County, Dyer County, some of Ripley, and Lauderdale County, Crockett County. I'm seeing these pockets of cap that are in place. Again, you got to think these are computer models, not necessarily measurements, and I'm not even looking at some of the better indicators, like if you would look at, I'm not going to bring that. I've had to be a whole other conversation and another map that I don't have in front of me. But, just looking at, this general meteorology stuff, you still have a lesser to a moderate cap in some places for the potential energy to, stay in place, not to give any lift to these storms. But once the line comes together, it's 9 times out of 10, it's just going to come together and push through. That's just what it's going to do. What it's going to do every time. It's going to become linear, and once it becomes linear, that front will push it, and pushing it in the middle of Tennessee, it'll get all that mess out of here. And it'll absorb these supercells, too. It just does.
Yeah, Brian Thomas is with. He's our weather man, and my name's Dan Reeves. Great to have you along with us here on News Talk 96.5 FM. Brian, and I just listened in for a moment on the Grizzlies. They are underway in the second half, so that game, don't know if it was delayed for a moment because of the tornado warning in Memphis, but they're back underway. And also some breaking news just came across, Brian, that the feds just put a restraining order, essentially a federal judge blocks the Tennessee drag ban with a temporary restraining order. That's that just came down. Federal judge in Tennessee has issued a temporary restraining order against the impending drag ban after siding with Friends of George's. That's a Memphis-based LGBTQ theater group that filed suit against the state. Friends of George's filed a lawsuit on March the 27th, so just a few days ago. Well, today's the 31st. The case advanced rapidly through federal court. Judge Thomas Parker heard the 3 hours of arguments yesterday and agreed the law was written too vague and levels. Well, pardon me. He believes he left the door open for differing outcomes based on a person's assessment of what is and isn't obscene. Quotes, a law is unconstitutionally vague if individuals of common intelligence must necessarily guess at its meaning and differ to its application, close quote. Parker wrote that in a 15-page decision. So this breaking news, the federal judge has temporarily blocked Tennessee's drag ban. That's breaking news, just to add into the excitement tonight.
I suppose they wouldn't bring up First Amendment with all of that stuff, you know?
Right.
I mean, I would think, because isn't that another form of expression and all of that? You know, I don't get into all of that. You know, that's why I'm weather nerd most of the time, I guess.
Yeah, I'm with you. Absolutely.
But I at least know what First Amendment is. But you know what? I'm just surprised that wasn't cited anywhere. You know. But I was listening to some of the conversation earlier as we were trying to get on the air back in the 6 o'clock hour, and you had a very lively conversation on that on your show tonight.
Yeah, it's I tell you, we taking care of the most important thing to make sure that drag queen brunches don't take place. And I don't know about you, but every time I turn around, I bump into a drag queen brunch. And don't worry about health care. Everything else is taken care of, folks. Now we can get to the drag queen brunches, and we'll get to, or you could say, we'll get to the important stuff later, or the important stuff first, and it's drag queen brunches, where they've not killed one kid ever at a drag queen brunch. I've never seen one, and I've been walking this earth for 50 years. Kind of like, it reminds me of the guy standing on the street corner in New York City snapping his fingers just for hours. And a guy walked by in the morning, he was standing there, came back for lunch, he's standing there, and when he was leaving, at 5 o'clock, the guy's still there on the corner, snapping his fingers. He said, "Pardon me, guy, what are you doing?" He said, "I'm keeping elephants away." He said, "Man, it's New York City, and that elephant within 2,000 miles. He said, "See, it works." It kind of reminds me of this law to ban drag queen brunches.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Well, one quick update, and we'll split for a while, and you can get to your game. Look here, we have a tornado warning in effect. It's now in Tennessee until 8:45, so another 35 minutes here for northern Marshall and Benton counties. This is all in North Mississippi here. And then we get into Tennessee, Fayette, Hardeman, and Shelby counties. At 8:21, 5 minutes ago, a thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was near Mount Pleasant. That's 10 miles southeast of Collierville. Moving east at 55. Hazard includes tornado, golf ball size hail, and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. This is radar indicated, although there are spotters. Again, the gentleman I was telling you about a while ago, that he's after it, man. I mean, he's trying to look for it in the dark, and maybe he will. Let's just hope he didn't get too close. Back to the west, Mississippi River past west of Henning, and over there, just the line is starting to shape up a little bit. We'll keep an eye on it, and of course, as we always say, if it breaks out, we'll break in.
Well, that's a good way to put it, Brian. Brian Thomas in these weather updates, severe weather coverage presented by Dustin Ring. Dustin buys houses fast for cash. Houses, trailers, land. If you need to sell fast, call Dustin. Dustin buys houses fast for cash at 731-200-1362. 731-200-1362. Dustin Ring. Dustin buys houses fast for cash. DustinBuys.com. Well, so that's kind of the way it breaks down. And Brian, you and I stay in contact, and if need be, we'll be back with you, folks, to help navigate through this developing weather situation. Because, Brian, that's the way it is.
That's just what it's going to do.
It is, as they say, it is what it is. Brian Thomas, wonderful job, my friend, tonight.
Yeah, had fun. Yeah, glad you could hang out with me.
Same here. Enjoy it very much, Brian, and I will talk with you. Well, hopefully not soon, but if need be, we'll do it. And thanks again, Brian. You do a wonderful job with the weather, and hope you have a great night. Listen, go get something to eat. Get whatever you want. I mean, hell, you're paying for it, so get whatever you want.
Maybe I'll buy yours one day.
Man, that'd be awesome. Brian Thomas, ladies and gentlemen.
We'll see you.
Yeah, Brian, you got a big weekend planned?
Not particularly. Actually, this weekend there's a little dab of schoolwork I got to finish up on, and really none. It was supposed to be, kind of a kickback type weekend, and because I think I'm going to be busy the next 2 weekends. We do have Good Friday and Easter Sunday coming up next weekend.
Oh yeah.
And then and I'm sure you'll have me doing some crazy thing. Who knows?
Of course. Brian, thank you so much, big guy.
All right, talk to you later.
Okay, thanks a lot. Brian Thomas, ladies and gentlemen. Again, thanks to Dustin Ring. Dustin buys houses fast for cash. 731-200-1362, DustinBuys.com. Well, we made it through that round. If we have another one, we'll be back with you. So keep it locked. And if you've not downloaded our free mobile apps for News Talk 96.5 FM, then do so, for crying out loud. Be prepared, because you could lose electricity. Even if you do, you'll have us on our free mobile apps that fit Apple and fit Android. You can download those bad boys in your Apple Store. News Talk 96.5. Android, go to the Google Play Store and you can download it there, or simply log on to our website, newstalk965.com, and you'll see over to the right-hand side of the screen where you can download our free mobile apps. Thanks to Gina Langley, Josh Smith, Brian Thomas, Larry Newman. My name's Dan Reeves. We'll rejoin the Memphis Grizzlies game right about now.
Right side on the wing. Brooks gives for Tillman, gets it back, drives in the lane, running left-hand floater off the window, no good. Tillman kept it alive and almost tapped it home. Tried to back tap to Bain, but it goes right to Terrence Mann.